From the Done by Dark desk, this is Tuesday, August 11th. Tonight, a Colombian town of 6,000 people is cut off behind 18 landslides, and nobody agrees on how many are dead. The president says the United States Navy controls the Strait of Hormuz 100%, and the talks to reopen it went backwards anyway. A disease agency we have now asked about 4 nights running still has not updated its page. And 2 chambers of Congress have funded the government to 2 different dates. We start in Western Colombia, and we start by telling you what we do not know. Yesterday morning at 7:34 local time, a magnitude 7.4 earthquake struck near San Jose del Palmar in the Choco department, about 60 miles down. It was felt in Cali, in Pereira, in Quibdó, in Manizales. Through today, rescuers dug, and tonight there are 3 different death tolls in circulation, and they do not agree. United Press International and CBS News report at least 181 dead. CNN, counting across Colombian agencies, has more than 200. CNBC, citing local authorities, reports more than 250. We are not going to pick one of those and read it to you as the number. The toll is rising. The sources disagree. And the honest thing to say is that it is somewhere in that range and climbing. The town at the center of it is small. San Jose del Palmar is a farming town of about 5,900 people, and tonight it is cut off from the rest of the country. The road out toward Cartago is blocked by 18 separate landslides. More than 300 rescuers are working the worst collapse sites, joined by 45 more from Bogotá with dogs and a 47-person search team from Ecuador. The United States has announced $15.5 million in humanitarian aid. On the missing, the numbers are further apart than the dead. One count puts it at 195. Al Jazeera reports more than 2,700. That gap is not a detail. Until somebody reaches that town, the difference between those 2 figures is the story. The Strait of Hormuz. Yesterday, in the Oval Office, the president said the Navy has mineswept the whole waterway, that the blockade is a steel wall, and, quote, we control the strait 100%. He said it is open now to everyone except Iran. Today, the position hardened on both sides. On Saturday, Iran published 6 conditions for reopening it, and one of them is that the United States pay compensation for war damage. Today, the president made a demand back, saying he wants compensation from Iran for, quote, all of the people that they have killed and gravely wounded with their roadside bombs. 2 governments now each want the other to pay first. That is not a negotiation moving toward a signature. Against that, one thing pointed the other way today. A senior Pakistani minister, whose country is one of the mediators, said the 2 sides are close to some sort of arrangement. We report both, and we are not going to tell you which one is the real signal, because we do not know. Which brings us to the market, because tonight the market story and the Hormuz story are the same story. Stocks fell for a second day off the record they set at the end of last week. The S&P 500 lost 24 points to 7,728. The Dow lost 184 to 53,791. The Nasdaq lost 160 to 26,445. All 3 down about 1/3%, except the Nasdaq at 0.6. But the Russell 2000, the small companies, finished up 9 points. So this was not a day when stocks fell. It was a day when the big ones fell and the small ones did not. While oil swung on when the war would let crude move freely again. Now the promise we have made you 3 nights running and are now making a 4th time. Since July, we have been following an outbreak of a parasite called Cyclospora traced to iceberg lettuce. On Saturday, we told you the disease agency's page had not moved and that we would keep asking. We checked it again tonight at the source. It still has not moved. The last update is August 5th. 6,358 laboratory confirmed illnesses in 15 states. 278 people hospitalized. 2 dead, both in Michigan. The investigation is still listed as open. Those are the same figures we read you on Saturday and the same ones we read you on Wednesday. One caution, because you may see a much bigger number elsewhere. There are around 22,000 cyclospora cases across the country this year. Most of them have nothing to do with this outbreak, and the agency says so itself. The lettuce number is 6,358. Yesterday, the president signed an executive order on childhood vaccination. It asks that the list of diseases every child is recommended to be vaccinated against be cut from 18 to 11. Measles, mumps, rubella, polio, whooping cough, tetanus, diphtheria, Hib, pneumococcal disease, HPV, and chickenpox stay on the universal list. The others move to one of 2 categories: recommended for children at high risk, or left to what the order calls shared clinical decision-making, which means a conversation between a parent and a doctor rather than a standing recommendation. 2 things about that order are worth knowing. The first is that it is not new. The health secretary announced substantially this overhaul in January, and a federal judge blocked it in March. Yesterday's order reasserts by executive action what the courts stopped by injunction, and it will almost certainly be tested the same way. The second is that the order cites autism as a reason. We are going to be plain about this rather than balanced about it. The claim link between childhood vaccines and autism has been examined repeatedly and has not been found. That is the state of the evidence. The order is real, its legal path is uncertain, and its stated reason is not supported. On Saturday, we told you the Senate had voted 90-6 to fund the government through the 11th of December, and we asked whether the House would move on it. Here's the answer, and it is stranger than a yes or a no. The House cannot move on it. It left for its August recess and does not come back until the 31st. And before it left, it passed its own funding bill, running to the 4th of December. So the 2 chambers have now funded the government to 2 different dates, a week apart, and neither has taken up the other's version. Current funding runs out on the 30th of September. The House returns on the 31st of August. That is 1 working day of overlap, at the end of which somebody has to choose a date. In Israel, the Prime Minister rejected the American plan for Gaza in public and for the second time. Benjamin Netanyahu told his cabinet, quote, "Israel rejects the 15-point document," adding that he was saying it again to clear up any ambiguity. The plan pairs a phased Israeli withdrawal with the disarming of Hamas. Netanyahu wants Hamas disarmed completely first, and only then a withdrawal. A Hamas official said the group reaffirms its commitment to the plan and is ready to engage seriously. Israel votes on the 27th of October, and the polling has the governing coalition at risk of losing its majority. Wednesday, August 12th. July's inflation report lands in the morning, and forecasters expect headline inflation of 3.4% for the year and core at 2.5%, both a tenth lower than June. Whether the disease agency's page moves on a 5th day, whether anybody reaches San Jose del Palmar and Hormuz, night 8. That is Tuesday, August 11th. A town in Colombia is still cut off, and the count is still moving. 2 governments want each other to pay first. A page at a disease agency hasn't changed in 6 days, and we will ask again tomorrow. Sleep well.